I don't know where you've been, but you're going to respect this courtroom. My life has proven that it's not about where you come from, it's about where you're going. From a jailed youth who had my record expunged to becoming the youngest judge elected.
The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding.
In just 15 years. Ma'am, let me know when you want to go to rehab. Otherwise, I think you're a crackhead.
Absolutely not.
My goal is to inspire others to overcome their obstacles. You don't need him and his little raggedy roommate.
Thank you.
All while having a little fun on Mathis Court. You look like you're ready to lie right the first word out your mouth. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
June Higgins is suing Laney Shen in the amount of $750.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may be seated.
Ms. Higgins claims she agreed to adopt the defendant's dog if the animal got a clean bill of health, and says when the dog required surgery, Ms. Shen refused to chip in.
State your name.
June Higgins.
Ma'am.
Laney Shen.
All right, and you are suing the defendant for $750, alleging she owes this money for half of the veterinarian bills for an adopted dog?
Correct, Your Honor.
Start with you.
So I'm here today suing Laney for the $750 that she owes me for that vet bill. So I adopted her dog. I was on social media. I was on foster and adopting kind of Facebook groups looking for a dog. I'm a college student, and so I've been lonely. I really wanted a dog. And I found, may I present this? Your Honor?
Yes, please.
This is the, this is the post where she said she was looking to rehome her beautiful dog, Sunny. I knew immediately that I wanted her, and she said she can no longer keep her due to increased work trips. And I immediately texted her. I said I was super interested. I wanted her immediately. You know, I have text messages that I said I want her immediately if I just could take her to the vet, and if she would.
Let's see that part.
Here you go, Your Honor. If so.
Okay, let me hear from you now, ma'am, because she's showing me something where she's saying it was conditioned upon taking it to the vet. But let me read first. Hey, Laney, I'm interested in taking Sunny and being her forever home. I just want to make sure she has a clean bill of health. Would you mind if I took her to the vet for a checkup? Can you cover half the cost? Hi, June. Of course, I can pay for half the cost of the vet bills. I need to rehome Sunny immediately, and I think that you are the perfect fit. I love her already. Sounds great. I will take her to the vet and let you know how much it is. One of the things you all haven't talked about is if there was something wrong, would you buy it? The purpose, I think, for taking, like you buying a car, the purpose for taking it to the mechanic is to determine whether you're still going to buy that car or whether you're going to reduce the amount it costs for the car based on its condition. So I'm confused as to why we're not confused. I think I'm just telling you there was a mistake to buy something which you know you're having checked out before having it checked out.
Well, Your Honor, the agreement was that I wanted to make sure she had a clean bill of health before I did take her on.
That's correct.
Yes. So
but you didn't. You didn't wait. You paid for the bill.
Well, because she agreed to paying half.
No, but you didn't know what was wrong with the dog, if anything. And you shouldn't have agreed, as I see, to cover the cost of something you don't know what it would be. But I'll listen to you.
Your Honor, I did agree to pay for half of the checkup. She went and had Sunny get a whole
that makes
surgery.
sense.
I never said anything about paying for half of a surgery.
Well, Your Honor, it was a tumor in her stomach.
But ma'am,
Your Honor,
she told you checkup. Now that sounds more reasonable.
Yes.
Not anything that's wrong with the dog I'll cover, because if you discover if the dog had, you say tumor, I don't know if it was cancerous or not, but if the dog had cancer, which would require treatments, would go into the thousands, not $750, she will commit to that. You would expect her to pay that too?
Well, she agreed to pay for half of the vet bill, and that vet bill was the $1,500, the full.
But it could have been $10,000. You would expect her to pay 10? You expected her to pay 5?
I think $750 is pretty reasonable, Your Honor.
That's not the question. The question is, at what point do you determine that she pays half or not? It's because she says something that makes sense. I'll pay for half of the checkup, because once you find out whether there's something wrong or not, that's when you determine whether you're going to pay me in full.
Coming up on Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
They didn't say how much this is going to be before I perform surgery on this dog.
They gave
You thought it could have been $10?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, they gave you some type of estimate, ma'am. Now you're trying to deceive me.
The vet made it seem crucial.
Couldn't make a call. I better do it now. You got to do it now. You don't have time to use the phone. Use the phone, your dog will die.
And later.
So I was in the bathroom for about 15 minutes until I was done, and I went into the bedroom, and that's where I saw Mr. Foster just standing in the middle of the room.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878.
You're watching Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
Mathis Court is back with the case of June Higgins, who is suing Lainey Shen for veterinary bills.
What things would you limit it to?
I would limit it to, I mean, obviously there's a tap, you said $12,000. I still think that's too much, but I think even this is pretty reasonable regarding
We're not
the
talking
vet.
about reasonable, because what's reasonable to you is not reasonable to her, and it might not be reasonable to you, to me. We're talking about the responsibility assigned to a seller of a dog. And the responsibility this seller says she took on was to pay half for the checkup. Your interpretation is she's going to pay for half of anything that could be wrong with this dog.
I think she would still care that something is wrong with her dog.
It's not
But I
her
would-
dog anymore if you're buying it.
Well, in the text I'd said I'd only take the dog if she had clean bill of health, and she does now, after the...
Now, hold on. You took the dog, and the dog didn't have a clean bill of health.
Well,
so you went against what you told her.
Well, I didn't know, Your Honor, because she had not been
Right, so you
gone to the
shouldn't have
vet.
taken them. As you just said, in here as well. I will take the dog if the dog has a clean bill of health. She says, I will pay half. For what? To find out if the dog has a clean bill of health. Not, I will pay for everything that's wrong with the dog if the dog doesn't have a clean bill of health. You even say you'll only take it once you find out if the dog has a clean bill of health. So you found out that the dog didn't, and you took it anyway.
Well, it was all part of that vet visit. It was, the dog also needed vaccinations. She hadn't been gone to the vet in a while. So there were a lot of things.
That's a big difference. A vaccination and a checkup and cancer or a tumor, an operation. That's a big difference. And as I said, based on this, I'm understanding you to say, I will take the dog if the dog has a clean bill of health. That's what you told her. So, to find out whether the dog has a clean bill of health, you must have a checkup. And so she says she didn't have to pay for that. A car dealer doesn't pay for a checkup when you say, let me take this used car of yours to another mechanic to see if anything's wrong with it. He's not paying you to do that. So when she called you, what was that discussion? When she called you and told you about the dog's condition?
Your Honor, first of all, I was very concerned for Sunny, but I was shocked when she asked me to pay for half of almost $1,000. I agreed for half of a checkup, which is $125, which I paid for. And she is demanding more money from me, which I did not agree to.
Yeah, did they give you an estimate before they performed it?
No, Your Honor.
They didn't say how much this is going to be before I perform surgery on this dog.
They gave
You thought it could have been $10?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, they gave you some type of estimate, ma'am. Now you're trying to deceive me, and now you're about to lose immediately. They told you this might cost over $500, over $700, over $1,000. This is expensive, or it's not quite expensive. Can you afford $1,000? They said something, ma'am, to give you an understanding of what you were buying into when you asked for a surgery.
Correct, Your Honor. It was made clear that it would be a few $100s, over $500. Correct. But
So why didn't you call her first? Why didn't you call her before putting her on the hook for something like that?
The vet made it seem crucial.
Couldn't make a call. I better do it now. You got to do it now. You don't have time to use the phone. Use the phone, your dog will die.
The vet had said that there would be future problems.
I'm talking about getting an approval for her to pay you. That's when she would have explained, no, I'm not paying for a surgery. I was telling you I'd pay for the checkup. Had you called and said that, that would have been the case, I promise you. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I would never have agreed to it. That is something that can be done in the future. Like the vet said, it's not an immediate needed surgery, so she didn't have to pay it.
Is that true? It didn't need surgery immediately? Because you just said to me that it had to be done immediately.
The vet had said that it would cause future issues and problems.
How far into the future? Did you ask how far into the future, ma'am?
I did not, Your Honor, because I assumed it was, I trust the vet, and I believed them when they said that it needed to be done.
You don't know how far in the future, though. Ma'am, I'm going to dismiss your claim. She's paid her half as she agreed for the checkup, not for a surgery that could have waited. Even you say it could have waited, but you don't know whether that meant a year, 2 years, 5 years, or 5 minutes. You should have asked. That you should have came to her and said, hey, they want $750. I just want to let you know. That's how much it's going to be, and your half is going to be $375. I want to let you know. How much did you sell the dog to her for?
$50.
Please, and you want her to pay 5 times, 10 times. Oh, I can't add. The lawyers can't add. Don't never trust a lawyer who tells you he can add. But I know that's somewhere near 5, 6, 7 times as much. All right, your claim is dismissed, ma'am.
All rise.
Judge Mathis has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
Unbelievable.
This is what you get for wasting my time.
Just say you don't care about your dog and go.
Just say
really,
you're not
that's
a
all you
good
need to say.
person.
Coming up.
About 30 minutes after she got settled in my upstairs apartment, her dog started barking. I don't care. It must have barked, I don't know, about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Just bark, 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 bark.
You're watching Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
Nyla Rhodes is suing Jackson Foster in the amount of $1,034.67. Ms. Rhodes claims the defendant came into a room unannounced during a stay at his short-term rental and says she felt unsafe, so she left immediately.
State your name, ma'am.
Nyla Rhodes.
Sir?
Jackson Foster.
All right, and ma'am, you're suing the defendant for $1,034.67, alleging he owes this money for invading your privacy during a stay at his short-term rental?
Yes.
Start with you.
I booked a reservation for Friday and Saturday. I ended up going there Saturday night around 8 p.m. with my dog, Penny. She's a 2-year-old chocolate lab, so after I unpacked, I went upstairs to go relax. I went inside the tub and I turned on music, I turned on candles, and I put Penny outside of the bathroom because she usually causes a lot of chaos. So I was in the bathroom for about 15 minutes until I was done, and I went into the bedroom, and that's where I saw Mr. Foster just standing in the middle of the room. So I felt so uncomfortable that I had to book a hotel stay immediately.
Okay, sir?
About 30 minutes after she got settled in my upstairs apartment, her dog started barking. I don't care. It must have barked, I don't know, about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Just bark, 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 bark. And as you can see, I texted her 3 times, Your Honor. Here's the evidence right here if you want to see it.
See it, please.
Coming up.
So you go in on the woman naked at the place you're renting her the house to. You think there's an emergency. What could you have done?
I could have, Your Honor.
You're a doctor.
Well, I couldn't have been no doctor or nothing.
All right, you're a police officer.
No, I'm not.
You're an ambulance.
No.
So what could you have done? You're watching Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis.
Mathis Court is back with the case of Nyla Rhodes, who is suing Jackson Foster for invasion of privacy.
And as if you look right here,
If he had called, would you have heard it?
So my phone was on silent since I was in a
Okay,
relaxing
so if he'd
zone.
have called, you wouldn't have heard it.
No, I wouldn't have heard it.
If he had knocked on the door, would you have heard it?
Yes, I believe I would have heard
Go
him
ahead.
knocking on the
Sir,
door.
Go ahead.
well, obviously she didn't, Your Honor, because I went up there 3 times and knocked on the door after I tried to text her, and I didn't get no
3
response.
times?
3 times.
Okay, how long in between?
I'd say 15 minutes.
Would you say you were unavailable to hear a door knocking for an entire 45 minutes? Because he did it 3 times over the course of 45 minutes.
Your Honor, I don't believe that is the case because my dog would not have been barking for that long. And honestly, I was listening to my playlist. I know how long I was in the bathroom for, so I couldn't have been in there longer than 30 minutes.
And so while we're here, what happened? You walked in, you just went into her
Well, what
location?
as you can clearly state right here, Your Honor, it says, in case of, if you would look at number 5, section B, it says that the host has the right to enter the property during your stay. Should an emergency occur, the host will call or knock before entering. And I did all that, and I did enter the apartment, the room, but I did it out of good faith.
What emergency was there?
Huh?
What was the emergency?
I didn't know. Her dog was I thought maybe she fell.
You didn't know whether it was an emergency or not.
No, I did not.
So you go in on a woman naked at the place you're renting her the house to.
How will Judge Mathis rule? Find out when Mathis Court returns.
You're watching Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. This is Mathis Court with Judge Mathis. You think there's an emergency. What could you have done?
I could have.
You're a doctor.
Well, I couldn't have been no doctor or nothing.
All right, you're a police officer.
No, I'm not.
You're an ambulance.
No.
So what could you have done? Shouldn't you, if you think it's an emergency, shouldn't you call the emergency people?
If I would have seen her laying down on the ground,
No,
I
you
would
didn't
have
have
told.
to see that. You said the only way you can go in is if there's an emergency. Therefore, you had concluded it was an emergency before you went in.
Well,
and so my question is, if you concluded it was an emergency, why wouldn't you call the emergency people?
Well, Your Honor, all I got to say is I was concerned about this lady.
Okay,
this
and you didn't do what you do,
and I
what you're
feel like
supposed to do when there's an emergency.
Why am I getting punished why am I getting punished for being concerned about for
No,
somebody?
you didn't. You weren't being concerned. You busted in on this woman naked. And
I didn't know she was naked.
That, I don't know what you thought. You went in on her, nothing without her allowing you in. What I do know, if there was an emergency, you should call the police, the ambulance, or doctor. None of the 3 of which you are. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
All rise.
Judge Mathis has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $1,034.67.
Hey, it was an accident. I'm sorry. I don't feel I owe you, but I will. If the judge tells me I'll pay you, I'll pay you.
Yes, accidents happen, but what's right is what's right, and I got my judgment.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.